majority of people who turn into serial killers were born in November. And I think that's what happens when you have to like live with the fact that you know you were made on Valentine's Day. A day with like one of the highest number of suicides. Fucking Scorpios. The word hello was invented by Thomas Edison as a suggestion for what we should say when we answer the phone. But Alexander Graham Bell, his rival, wanted us to answer it with ahoy. I'm disappointed that it's not that. If you stay in the complete dark for 3 days, you can actually become permanently blind. My time starts now. Mozart didn't like this one singer so much that he wrote her a piece with a lot of high notes and low notes constantly because he noticed whenever she did low notes, her chin would go to her chest, and when she did high notes, her head would fly up. And so when she sang this piece, her head was just bobbing like a chicken. Eric the Red wanted people to live on his newfound ice-covered land, so he named it Greenland. April 1st, 1957, a British newscaster told his audience that the Italians had like a huge spaghetti harvest that year. And then they cut cameras and showed people like picking spaghetti off of trees and bushes. And apparently the British didn't know shit about spaghetti at this time because a lot of people called in asking how they can grow their own spaghetti trees. When your dog yawns, you might think that's a sign that they're sleepy, but yawns for dogs and yawns for humans aren't really the same thing. It's actually a sign that they're anxious or stressed out, and that's their way of trying to like calm themselves down. Same thing if they do that like whole body shake thing. The smell center of your dog's brain is 40 times larger than a human's, which means they can smell like way more than we can. They can even smell our feelings. I wonder what fear smells like. Dogs can see UV light, and since we use a lot of like fluoride-based products on our teeth, that means that they can literally see our teeth glowing. They'll just look like Ross from Friends when he overly whitened his teeth. Advice that could save your life one day, except the scenarios get increasingly more likely to actually happen. If you're ever outside and you notice that your hair starts to float, you're about to be struck by fucking lightning. So what you gotta do is assume the lightning crouch position. You gotta squat, have your head face down, cover your ears, be on the balls of your toes, and have your heels touching. And prepare yourself because it's gonna hurt like a fucking bitch. If someone has a knife on you, scream, yell, act like a crazy person. But if they have a gun on you, speak slowly, calmly, and try not to startle them. And if they ask for your wallet, just give them your fucking wallet. It's not worth your life. Whenever you're driving and you have to make a turn into oncoming traffic, don't turn your wheels until you're ready to go and actually make the turn. Have them pointed straight, because if somebody comes and hits you from behind, they're gonna knock you into traffic and you're gonna die. I can't believe I have to say this. You can't just run away from lightning. 1, you're not faster than light itself. 2, the lightning is attracted to you. Contrary to popular belief, but lightning doesn't start up here in the sky. It starts on the ground. The earth is positively charged, and when lightning is about to strike, all the charges in the clouds separate, and because opposites attract, negative goes to the bottom and positive goes to the top. And this attraction is like super strong, so the currents actually try to like meet each other in the middle, and when they do, that's when lightning strikes. And since you, a person, is negatively charged on the inside but positively charged on the outside, you're also gonna attract that lightning. Even more so since you're closer to it than the ground. And if the lightning strikes the ground, there's something called ground current that can still come around and fucking hit you. So, if you want to quit your job, you have to give your employer a 2-week notice or else you're seen as unprofessional. But if your employer wants to fire you, they don't have to give you any sort of warning or heads up so you can get started on applications. In fact, they can hide their intentions to fire you until the very last moment. Best Buy? Clothes from the women's section literally fall apart in like 6 months, but meanwhile, that t-shirt you bought in the men's section like 5 years ago looks brand new. And don't even get me fucking started on the gendered pocket situation. Because of COVID, we're all in like these really restrictive lockdowns, okay? But the politicians who are making these lockdowns and telling us to stay home keep getting caught traveling and going on vacation. Advice that could potentially save your life one day, except the scenarios become increasingly more likely to actually happen. If you ever find yourself being chased by a swarm of bees, try to remember that we don't live in a cartoon, so don't just like jump in the nearest body of water because, well, for a lot of reasons, but mainly the bees are gonna wait for you to get out to sting you. So your best bet is to try and outrun them. After like a mile or so, they're gonna lose interest. If you or someone you know has been stabbed, don't fucking take out the object that has impaled you because that is literally the only thing stopping you from bleeding out. Apply pressure to the area and call an ambulance, but don't fucking take it out. You recently let a stranger into your house, do yourself a favor and check to make sure that all your windows are still locked. Because you never know if somebody's trying to make it easier for them to break in later. Really weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. Siblings or parents and children who were separated at birth or just at a very young age are often sexually attracted to each other if they meet later on in life. Star Wars and Back to the Future make a little bit more sense. Men have a scar from the head of their penis all the way to their taint that's caused from their vagina closing while developing in the uterus. About 1 in every 100,000 girls' vagina and anal tracts are actually fused together, which means they can in fact get pregnant from anal sex. The reason that Egyptian mummies are so rare nowadays is because when they were first discovered, the Europeans ate them. They ate the mummies! Even 60 years after his death, George Washington was such a popular American president that when slaves were free to give it the option to choose their last name, a lot of them chose Washington over Lincoln, to the point that 90% of Washingtons today are black. The only reason the vibrator was ever invented was because doctors got tired of having to hand masturbate women to relax them for their hysteria. These fun facts are not fun at all. There are more slaves today than at any other point in history, and in fact, it's a $150 billion industry. In World War I, thousands of dogs were taken from their families for the war effort, but when the war was over, they were all just shot because it was cheaper than trying to find their homes. There's a plant in Australia called the Gimpy Gimpy that makes you want to kill yourself. When horses brush up against this bush, they literally throw themselves from a cliff because they would rather die than feel the pain. Netflix turned me into a cartoon. Have you ever wondered why you look so much better in a mirror than in a photo? It's because you're ugly. Well, that and like something called camera focal length, and most cameras have a low focal length so they can capture a large area, but it like distorts your face. This is why we had that one TikTok trend where if you move your face away from the camera, you start to look like a different person. The reflection you see in the mirror every day is what you perceive as the original, so when a camera flips the image, you feel like you look weird. That in a mirror is 3D, it's a live view, while a photo is 2D and it's still, so if you're posing or smiling weird, you look a little bit more awkward. But it might make you feel better to know that the way you look in a mirror is the closest to how people see you in real life, so yay? Have you ever wondered what your country leads the world in? Like what you guys do the best? Well, I did. So, Switzerland was ranked the #1 best country in the entire world, and it's probably because they have the highest employment rate. Canada's the #2 best country in the world, and you guys lead in maple syrup and asteroid impacts. #3 is Japan, and you guys have the most robots. Germany in that #4 spot has almost won the World Cup the most times. Australia coming in with that #5. You guys lead the world in deadliest animals and melanoma. The UK, hello, you're #6, and you lead the world in fascist movements. And finally, it might surprise some of my viewers that the United States is not #1, we're #7, but we do lead the world in Nobel Prize winners, eating hot dogs, and getting killed by lawnmowers. So I'm very curious to know where you're from in the US, what state, if not, where the fuck are you from? I hate it when I show somebody a photo on my phone and they immediately just start scrolling through the photos. Like, what an invasion of privacy. I think next time I'm gonna slightly zoom in, that way if they try to scroll, they're not going anywhere. How am I supposed to make a sandwich with 2 butts of the bread? Fucking gross, nobody likes looking at the crust. Unless I just flip it inside out and eat it like that, because I'm a fucking adult. I don't have a bottle opener. How am I supposed to open up this beer? I want to drink a beer, I can't open it. There's just no... Oh, I'm gonna teach you guys how to make a tea bag firework. You're obviously gonna need a tea bag, something to light it on fire with, and then pro tip, it helps to duct tape your smoke detector. Step 1 is going to be to cut off the top of the tea bag. Then you're gonna wanna like pour out the tea, because you don't need it. You're gonna take the paper you have left and kind of space it out so you're left with this little tower. Then you just have to light the top of it, and I lost my lighter, so we're gonna try it with a match. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Firework. Firework. Yes! Yes! Jeez, how does this work? Physics, bitch. Advice that could save your life one day, except the scenarios become increasingly more likely to actually happen. If you're ever in a falling elevator, lie down flat on your back. And if your first instinct is to say no, you're supposed to time that shit and jump before you hit the... No! You'll break every fucking bone in your body. Symptoms are different depending on if you're a male or a female, but if you're showing any of these signs, you're probably having a heart attack. You need to call emergency services and then chew on an aspirin because it's a blood thinner and it could probably save your life. If you're ever cooking and the entire pot just like bursts into flames, don't put water on it. Turn off the stove, put the lid on, or use some baking soda. If you put water on it, you will burn your house down and melt your face off. So if you're ever thinking about like hitting up your ex or sending that risky text to that person you have a crush on, Rub one out first, choke the chicken, sauce the taco, and then reread what you wrote and see how you feel, because post-nut clarity is real and it'll save you from so much embarrassment.